Most people don't have a money problem. They have a pattern problem. Because money is not just numbers in a bank account. Money is a mirror. It shows you your habits. It exposes your discipline. It reveals how patient you are, how emotional you are, how much pressure you can handle, and whether you think 5 years ahead or 5 minutes ahead. And that is why two people can earn the same salary, live in the same city, have the same opportunities, and still end up in completely different places. One builds wealth, the other stays stuck. Not because one is lucky and the other is cursed, but because one is living by rules the other person has never written down. So today I want you to listen carefully, because these are not cute little money tips. These are golden rules wealthy people live by. And if you ignore them, money will keep passing through your hands like water. But if you understand them, apply them, and repeat them long enough, your financial life can change completely. The first rule is this: never let your lifestyle grow faster than your income. This sounds simple, but it destroys millions of people. The moment they start earning more, they start spending more. New phone, better clothes, more restaurants, more subscriptions, bigger apartment, more expensive weekends. And before they know it, the raise they prayed for disappears into a lifestyle they can barely maintain. That is not progress. That is a trap wearing nice shoes. Wealthy people understand something most people learn too late. The goal is not to look rich. The goal is to become free. There is a huge difference. Looking rich makes you impressive for a moment. Building wealth makes you powerful for a lifetime. The average person gets extra money and immediately asks, "What can I buy?" The wealthy person asks, "How can I use this to buy back my future?" That one question changes everything. Because if every increase in income becomes an increase in spending, you will never escape. You will just become a higher-paid prisoner. More money, same stress. More income, same panic. More status, same empty bank account. So the first rule is discipline. When your income rises, do not rush to upgrade your lifestyle. Upgrade your savings, upgrade your investments, upgrade your emergency fund, upgrade your skills, upgrade your future. Celebrate, yes. But don't let celebration become self-sabotage. You don't need to prove you are doing better. Your bank account will know. The second rule is this: pay yourself first, or you will always pay everyone else. Every month, most people do the same thing. They get paid. Then they pay rent. They pay bills. They pay transport. They pay for food. They pay subscriptions. They pay friends. They pay businesses. They pay everybody. Then at the end of the month, they look at what is left and say, "I'll save if there is anything remaining." But there is never anything remaining, because money without a plan always finds a way to disappear. Wealthy people don't save what is left after spending. They spend what is left after saving. That is the difference. Before the world gets paid, they pay their future self. It may be 10%. It may be 20%. It may be 30%. The number depends on your situation. But the principle does not change. The first transfer is not to pleasure. It is not to comfort. It is not to impress people. It is to your future. Because the version of you who will exist 5 years from now is depending on the decisions you make today. And here is the hard truth. If you do not prioritize your future, nobody else will. The landlord wants their money. The bank wants its money. The stores want their money. The apps want their money. The world is designed to take your money before you even understand where it went. So you must build a system that protects you from yourself. Automate your saving. Automate your investing. Move the money before emotion gets involved. Because when money sits in your account with no mission, your desires will give it one. You will suddenly remember something you need. You will suddenly feel like rewarding yourself. You will suddenly convince yourself that this one purchase does not matter, and maybe one purchase doesn't. But repeated over months and years, those small leaks sink the whole ship. Pay yourself first, not because you are greedy, because your future deserves respect. The third rule is this: understand the difference between assets and liabilities. This is one of the rules that separates people who build wealth from people who only consume it. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That's it. Simple. But most people confuse the two because they buy things that feel like success but behave like financial drains. A car can be useful, but if it creates constant payments, repairs, insurance, fuel costs, and stress, it is not making you richer. It is consuming your cash flow. A bigger house can be beautiful, but if it traps you in heavy monthly payments and leaves you with no breathing room, it can become a golden cage. Expensive clothes can make you look confident, but they are not building your financial foundation. Wealthy people are not against nice things. Don't misunderstand this. They are against buying nice things before owning things that pay for them. That is the key. The average person buys luxury first and hopes wealth comes later. The wealthy person builds assets first, then lets those assets fund the luxury. That is a completely different game. So before you buy something, ask yourself, is this putting money into my life or taking money out? Is this an investment or is this emotional decoration? Is this helping me grow or helping me pretend and be honest? Because your ego will lie to you. Your ego will say, you deserve it. Your discipline must respond, yes, but not at the cost of my future. The fourth rule is this: never depend on one source of income. One income stream is fragile. One job, one client, one business, one platform, one skill. That is not security, that is exposure, because if that one source gets cut, your entire life can shake. Wealthy people understand that income must become layered. Active income, business income, investment income, rental income, digital income, royalties, dividends, skills that can be monetized, relationships that create opportunities. They do not rely on one pipe. They build multiple pipes. Now, this does not mean you should jump into 10 different things at the same time and become confused. That is not strategy. That is distraction. The first step is to strengthen your main income. Get better. Become more valuable. Increase your earning power. Then use part of that income to build or buy other income streams. Most people do the opposite. They hate their job, so they chase a side hustle. Then they neglect their main income, make no real money from the side hustle, and end up tired in both places. That is not wealth building. That is chaos. Start with stability, then build expansion. If you have a job, become excellent at it while developing a skill that can earn outside your job. If you have a business, build systems so the business is not completely dependent on your daily energy. If you create content, do not depend only on views. Build products, offers, community, email lists, and partnerships. If you invest, do not put everything into one thing you barely understand because someone online shouted that it will explode. Multiple income streams are powerful only when they are built with intelligence. The goal is not to be busy. The goal is to be less vulnerable. The fifth rule is this: buy time, not just things. This one is deep. Poor money habits are usually focused on buying things. Rich money habits are focused on buying time, because time is the real currency. Money can be lost and made again. Time only leaves. And once it is gone, it does not return. Wealthy people understand that the highest purpose of money is not just comfort. It is control over your life, control over your mornings, control over your calendar, control over who you work with, control over what you refuse, control over where your attention goes. That is why smart people use money to remove friction, save time, learn faster, delegate low-value tasks, and create space for high-value thinking. But most people use money to escape their life for a weekend, then return to the same prison on Monday. That is not freedom. That is temporary relief. Ask yourself honestly, are your purchases helping you build a better life, or are they helping you tolerate a life you don't like? Because there is a difference. A course that improves your skill can buy future income. A tool that saves you hours can buy focus. A book that changes how you think can buy better decisions. Hiring help for something that drains you can buy energy. But buying things to impress people who are not even thinking about you, that is expensive insecurity. The wealthy do not just ask, "Can I afford this?" They ask, "What does this cost me in time, energy, attention, and future freedom?" That question makes you dangerous. Because once you start measuring purchases in life energy, you stop wasting money casually. You realize that every dollar you spend is a piece of your work, your effort, your stress, your time. And suddenly you become more careful. Not cheap, careful. There is a difference. Cheap people fear spending. Wealthy-minded people demand a return. The sixth rule is this: never invest in what you do not understand. Greed makes people stupid. Fear of missing out makes them even worse. Someone hears about a stock, a coin, a business deal, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and suddenly they are ready to risk money they worked months to earn. No research, no plan, no risk management, just emotion wearing the mask of confidence. That is how people lose money. Wealthy people may take risks, but they do not take blind risks. They ask questions. How does this make money? What can go wrong? Who benefits if I invest? What is the downside? How liquid is it? What fees are involved? What is my exit plan? What do I know that gives me an advantage? If you cannot explain an investment in simple words, you are not investing. You are gambling with a vocabulary upgrade. And listen carefully. Just because other people are making money does not mean you understand the game. Sometimes you are not early. Sometimes you are the exit liquidity. Sometimes the person teaching you how to get rich is getting rich from your attention, not from the thing they are promoting. So slow down. The wealthy do not need to chase every opportunity. They know that missing one opportunity is better than losing everything because of ignorance. There will always be another deal, another market, another investment, another chance. But capital lost through foolishness is painful to rebuild. Your first job is not to get rich quickly. Your first job is to stay in the game long enough for wisdom and compounding to work. Protect your capital. Protect your mind. Protect yourself from hype. The seventh rule is this: debt must be controlled, or it will control you. Debt is not always evil, but debt is always powerful. Used wisely, it can help build assets, expand business, or create leverage. Used foolishly, it becomes a chain around your neck. The problem is that many people use debt to finance a lifestyle their income cannot support. They borrow to look successful. They borrow to feel comfortable. They borrow because patience feels painful, and at first it looks harmless. A small monthly payment here, another one there, a card balance, a loan, a buy now, pay later plan. But slowly your future income gets captured before it arrives. You work today to pay for decisions you made yesterday. That is a dangerous way to live. Wealthy people respect debt because they understand its force. They ask, is this debt buying an asset, increasing income, or creating long-term value? Or is it just feeding my ego? Bad debt makes you poorer every month. Good debt is carefully calculated, tied to productive value, and managed with discipline. And even then, smart people do not play with debt like a toy. Because leverage magnifies outcomes, it can magnify gains. It can also magnify mistakes. So before you borrow, remove the fantasy. What happens if income drops? What happens if the business takes longer than expected? What happens if the market changes? What happens if the payment becomes heavy? If your plan only works when everything goes perfectly, it is not a plan, it is a wish. And wishes are not financial strategy. The eighth rule is this: your income grows when your value grows. This rule hurts people because it removes excuses. Yes, the economy matters. Yes, unfairness exists. Yes, some people start with more advantages. But after all that is said, you still have to ask the brutal question: what value do I bring to the marketplace? Because money follows value. Not effort alone, not desire alone, not time alone, value. You can work very hard doing something low value and still struggle. You can spend years being busy and still not become financially powerful. The market does not pay you based on how tired you are. It pays based on the problems you can solve, the results you can produce, and the scarcity of your skills. That means one of the greatest financial moves you can make is to become more valuable. Learn sales, learn communication, learn leadership, learn negotiation, learn digital skills, learn financial literacy, learn how to solve expensive problems. Learn how to manage people, systems, and opportunities. The wealthy invest in themselves because they understand that the mind is the original asset. A better mind makes better decisions. Better decisions create better results. Better results attract better opportunities, and better opportunities create better income. Most people want higher pay without higher value. That is backwards. If you want more money, become the kind of person who can handle more money. Upgrade your thinking. Upgrade your discipline. Upgrade your network. Upgrade your skills. Because opportunity does not stay long in the hands of someone unprepared. And here is something nobody wants to hear. Sometimes you are not broke because there is no money around you. Sometimes you are broke because you have not yet become trustworthy with money, skilled enough to attract money, or disciplined enough to keep money. That is not an insult. That is a starting point. The 9th rule is this: think in decades, not days. This is the rule that almost nobody wants to follow because it is boring. And because it is boring, it works. Most people want fast money, fast results, fast success, fast transformation. They want the shortcut, the secret, the hack, the hidden method. But wealth is usually built through boring repetition done for a long time. Saving consistently, investing consistently, learning consistently, avoiding stupid mistakes consistently, increasing income consistently, controlling expenses consistently, reinvesting consistently. That is not exciting, but it is powerful. The wealthy understand compounding. And compounding does not only apply to money. Habits compound, skills compound, relationships compound, knowledge compounds, reputation compounds, discipline compounds. Every day you are either building evidence that your future can trust you, or evidence that you cannot be trusted with bigger opportunities. That is why patience is not weakness. Patience is strength under control. The person thinking in days gets emotional every time results are slow. The person thinking in decades stays calm because they understand the process. They don't panic because they know what they are building. They don't quit because the first month is hard. They don't destroy the future for a temporary feeling. They play the long game. And the long game is where most people disappear. They get tired, they get distracted, they compare themselves, they chase something new, they stop too early. And then they say, "It didn't work." No, you didn't work it long enough. There is a kind of wealth that only comes to the person who refuses to be rushed. A kind of confidence that only comes from years of doing the right thing when nobody is clapping. A kind of financial peace that cannot be bought in one moment, but can be built through thousands of small decisions. So write these rules down. Do not let your lifestyle grow faster than your income. Pay yourself first. Know the difference between assets and liabilities. Never depend on one source of income. Buy time, not just things. Never invest in what you do not understand. Control debt before it controls you. Grow your value if you want to grow your income. Think in decades, not days. But writing them down is not enough. Because knowledge alone does not change your life. Applied knowledge does. You can watch every money video online and still stay broke if you do not change your behavior. You can understand every principle and still fail if you keep choosing comfort over discipline. That is the uncomfortable truth. Money rewards behavior, not intentions. Everybody intends to save. Everybody intends to invest. Everybody intends to start. Everybody intends to become better. But the bank account does not respond to intentions. It responds to actions. So look at your life right now. Where is your money going? What habits are stealing your future? What purchases are keeping you stuck? What debt are you pretending is normal? What skill have you delayed learning? What opportunity are you too distracted to prepare for? What version of you are you funding every month? The free version or the trapped version? Because your money is voting every day. Every purchase is a vote. Every transfer is a vote. Every excuse is a vote. Every investment is a vote. You are voting for the person you are becoming. And here is the final truth. Wealthy people are not always smarter than everyone else. They are not always more talented. They are not always more educated. But they often obey rules that others ignore. They are willing to delay pleasure. They are willing to learn before risking. They are willing to look boring now so they can be free later. They are willing to make decisions their future self will thank them for. And that is where the shift begins. Not when you suddenly become rich, but when you stop thinking like someone who is easy to separate from their money. When you stop spending to heal emotions. When you stop borrowing to impress people. When you stop chasing what you don't understand. When you stop waiting for more income before you build better habits. Because if you cannot manage a little, more will only expose the weakness faster. More money in the hands of the same habits does not create freedom, it creates bigger problems. So start where you are, with what you have. No drama, no excuses, no fake motivation, just rules. Live by them when it is easy. Live by them when it is boring. Live by them when people laugh. Live by them when your emotions tell you to quit. Because one day the same people who called you too strict, too focused, too patient, too careful will ask how you did it. And the answer will be simple. You stopped treating money like something to spend and started treating it like something to build with.